Fellow Rotarians, it is my distinct privilege today to introduce to you John Germ. And I think it would be right at this point to ask some questions. And the first one would be, why is John Germ, a native of Tennessee and a citizen of Chattanooga, here today? It is because he is a Rotarian. Now, he is not a Rotarian in name only, or a rhino, but he is the genuine article. So then the second question is, so what makes John the genuine article? Well, here's the answer. He cares about people. His caring is seen in his love for his family that is made up of his wife, Judy, who is here today joining him. There are 4 children and 5 grandchildren. And as of announced on Mother's Day to John and Judy, a 5th grandchild or 6th grandchild quickly on the way. John's caring is also seen in his commitment to the employees of the company of which he is chairman of the board, Campbell and Associates Consulting Engineers. His caring is seen in his devotion to his nation, the United States of America, by his service in the United States Air Force. His caring is seen in his focus on the citizens of Chattanooga, where he has worked with nonprofits too numerous to mention. However, I will mention one, and that is the United Way of Chattanooga, where he served as campaign chair. This caring is also seen in his involvement in Rotary, where he has served his club, his district, and his zone. And if that were not enough, he has served additionally at an international level as a director and as vice president. He served as well for Rotary Foundation as vice chair and a trustee. He has given himself his adult life to Rotary because he cared for people and he wanted to see the betterment of all mankind. Now finally, this caring is most clearly seen in his deep commitment to the eradication of polio. He has successfully led polio's Rotary's campaign to raise over $228 million to meet a challenge grant from the Gates Foundation. This is the man that led the charge. I asked John what he wanted you to know most about him, and this was his answer. That every person know that he or she has a unique talent, and that every person should use his or her talent to better mankind. Rotarians, I present to you John Germ.
So many past district governors here, the continued leadership that you have. And how long, 2 months ago that I was here with the foundation dinner, had a great turnout there. So it's a pleasure for me to be here today. And I know that you're wondering what I'm going to talk about. I am too. But I thought that I would talk about something that I hope that is very interesting to you, especially since you are celebrating your 100 years as a Rotary Club. I did not know what he was going to say in the introduction, but I am going to talk to you about something that is dear to my heart. I will get to polio eventually, which is also dear to my heart. But I want to talk about Rotary. And I want to talk about the unique thing about Rotary to me. We're a family. We're friends. We've been in existence for a long time. We all have different roles, different experiences in Rotary and in our business life. But there's one thing that binds us together. Service to humanity is the best work of life. And I firmly believe that Rotary is in the people business. And if we think about what Rotary does and we think about the people business, I'd like to take a moment to break down that word for you. But before I do, I want to give you a saying that was done by Winston Churchill. He said, "You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give." And it's your gifts to the Rotary Foundation and the goal that you've got of $1 million, and we're going to lock the doors. We're only $13,000 short, but I'm sure that she can make it before we leave here today. But that's what your gifts to the Rotary Foundation have changed lives. They have been invested in people. They're people that you will never see, people that you will never meet, people that you will never hear from. There's a child out there that has books to go to school. There's people that have clean water. There's people that have healthy lives because you cared enough to become involved with Rotary. You cared enough to become involved with people. And I'd like to break that word down for you for just a second. The first P stands for pride. You've been in existence 100 years. You should be very proud of the fact that you're one of the oldest Rotary clubs in the world. You should be proud of the fact that 13 people decided that there should be a Rotary Club in Shreveport and decided to do something about that and chartered the Rotary Club. You should be proud of your long association with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. Be proud of your many public service projects, including your Life Share Blood Center, the Dragon Boat Festival, which raises money that you can turn back into this community to help people have a better life. As we said, I've had the opportunity to travel this world to help raise money for Rotary's #1 priority project, the eradication of polio. What I've learned from traveling the world, that a good Rotarian is one that is not enough to enrich their mind, to earn a living, but to raise a family. There's always been other work to do. This other work reaches into communities around the world whose very core is threatened with conflict, disease, illiteracy, and widespread human suffering. This reach is at the heart of Rotary's soul. Ever since its existence, Rotary has not been in the business of Rotary, but has been in the business of civilization. So furthering civilization, improving people's lives, is what you and I should truly be about. So be proud of what you've accomplished in this community. Be proud of what we've accomplished with the Rotary Foundation. But be proud of the fact that you still have that ability to reach out and do a little more. Because we don't have to go far, do we, to look in our own community, to see people that are suffering, to see people that cannot even read the label on a prescription bottle, or as we were talking yesterday, cannot read how much sugar is in a can of food that they're about to buy to get their diabetic. We don't have to go far, do we, to see children that need school books, to see children that need clothing, or see children that have free lunches at school but don't have anything to eat on the weekends or in the summertime. So be proud of what you've accomplished, because P stands for pride, but also think about what else that you can do to improve lives. E stands for empathy, the concern of a fellow human being. There's a saying, there's a destiny that makes us brothers, and there go his way alone. The more you put into the life of others, the more that comes of your own. Yes, as I said, look around your own community. And just think about what you read in the paper every day. What happened to those girls in Nigeria? What happened with the spread of polio as it went from 3 endemic countries? What happened to the person that got shot? What happens to the drugs? So it's empathy and that concern for others that helps us. I think it was that same concern that led this club to help with the Rotary Park, the Shreveport Rescue Mission, and the Northwest Louisiana Food Bank. Because you see, I believe that without help from Rotarians, either in their own community or around the world, people have no hope. Because being a Rotarian means bringing hope to individuals. O stands for opportunity. The O stands for obligation. Everybody that's a Rotarian that is sitting in this room, and those two that are there that want to be Rotarians, someone cared enough about you to ask you to become a Rotarian. I don't know of anyone around the world that has ever become a Rotarian without being asked. But I ask you, have you fulfilled your obligation to ask someone else to become a Rotarian? We're not going to ask for a show of hands because I don't want anybody to be embarrassed. But that is an opportunity someone gave us. It's an obligation that we have to bring in other people. Our membership in Rotary has been stagnant. We've been about 1.2 million members for several years. We lose some members because of death. We lose some members because they move out of town. But we lose more members because of a lack of involvement. We don't get our members involved. You've done a great job in getting your members involved. You have a community project. You have things going on. I look at these fantastic hats, and the only problem is I don't see enough of those polio hats out there. But I know that there was 45 people that became the initial sponsors of that program because you cared enough to fulfill that obligation, the obligation of community service. So we need to do something about mentoring our new members and retention. So yes, P is for pride, E is for empathy, and O is for opportunity and obligation. The next P is for perseverance. You tell me another organization that would have started a program in 1978 that would still be working on that program today. I can't think of one. And I doubt that you can. Let me give you a little bit of history. And I know there's some people in this room that were involved when we had the 1985 campaign and when we had the 2003 campaign. But it all started with a man by the name of Sir Clem Renoff. Sir Clem Renoff was going to be the president of Rotary International in 1978. And as most presidents of Rotary does, they've been traveling around the world. He was reading on an airplane about smallpox being eradicated. And he called a man by the name of Dr. John Sever. Dr. John Sever was a pediatrician, and he was the governor in the year that Sir Clem was president. And he asked him one question. Is there something of this magnitude that Rotary could do that would help people all around the world? John Sever was a friend of Dr. Saban. So he called Dr. Saban and discussed with him the possibility of this, and they came up with one program. That program was the eradication of polio. Rotary started with an idea. And it started on this journey. There's a Chinese proverb that says, a journey of 1,000 miles must begin with one single step. Sir Clem took that original step. Sir Clem took that step with John Shreveport. John Shreveport is still involved as the vice chairman of IPPC, the International Polio Plus Committee today. But he didn't take it without talking to his successor, who was going to be James Beaumar from Shreveport, Tennessee. Because he said, you know, we cannot start a program and it be a one-year program. We must continue this as we move forward. So Jim Beaumar agreed. In 1979, Rotary took another step on that journey. $760,000 from a program called Health, Hunger, and Humanity. And many of you may have heard of the 3H program. To provide vaccine and to vaccinate 6 million children in the Philippines. Very successful. It worked. That gave the emphasis to Rotary that there was something that could be done in the world that was of the magnitude of eradicating smallpox. Carlos Fonseca took the second step, or the third step. He said, let's have a program and let's study how we can eradicate polio by the year 2005. And he got inspired to do that because of the success of the Philippines. And because of a story that Jim Beaumar told while he was there putting those vaccine drops into the mouth of a little girl. Judy and I had dinner with Jim Beaumar, and he said, you know, when I was there, he said, I had that vial, and I was trying to put 2 drops of vaccine into a child's mouth. He said, while I was trying to put that vaccine into a child's mouth, I felt a tug at my pant leg. So I didn't look down because I didn't want to spill those 2 drops. He said, when I finished, I looked down, and there was a crawler. A young boy whose arms were out and his legs were bent underneath him. He looked up at him, and he says, thank you, mister. That's my sister. She will not be crippled as I am. Thank you, mister. That's my sister. What was he really saying? What he was really saying was, thank you, Rotary. Thank you for having the courage. Thank you for having determination to believe that there was something that could be done to keep children of the world from being crippled or dying. Another step on our journey. Carlos Fonseca had the plan. That was to end polio by 2005. How are we going to do it? It's going to take money. It's going to take volunteers. It's going to take persistence and commitment. Well, we said we needed $120 million because there was 120 million children under the age of 5. And $1 would protect all the children. It was actually 60 cents, and we would have contingency. We raised $247 million. Rotary reached into their pockets and talked to other community people to raise $247 million. We all know that that was not enough money. We all know that there was more than 120 million children because they kept being born every day. So we took on another campaign in 2003. We said we needed to raise $85 million. Well, we know that that wasn't enough either. But it was after we raised the $247 million that the World Health Alliance in 1988 said this could be possible. Rotary has led the way. Rotary persevered when they went to the Philippines. Rotary persevered when they raised $247 million against a goal of 120. Rotary persevered when they collected all of the pledges. Never been done before. The Rotarians gave their word into a Rotary, into a Rotarian. That's the most precious thing that we have, is our word. So in 1988, the World Health Alliance said, let's get WHO, UNICEF, the CDC, and let's form this organization called Global Polio Eradication Initiative. You see, it wasn't WHO that said, let's do this. It wasn't UNICEF, and it wasn't the Center for Disease Control. It was Rotary. You led that charge. You are the ones that said, we will persevere and we will eradicate polio. But we know it didn't happen in 2005. We know that in some parts of the world they said that it was a U.S. plot to sterilize the girl child so that there'd be no more Muslims. We know that people said it was going to cause AIDS, cancer, all of the excuses in the world. I was in Nigeria. They said, after flying all night, the day before to all night the next night, get there at 2 o'clock in the morning, met a cute little girl with flowers, got up the next morning, met with the health minister, and he said, you cannot do polio vaccines in Kano, Nigeria. And he started telling me about all the problems, the distrust. And I said, why don't you buy your vaccine from Indonesia? It's the largest Muslim country in the world. If you don't like the vaccine that comes from the United States. Well, he finally did that. But we couldn't do the vaccines in Kano, Nigeria. But we could do those in a place called Zamfara. And we went out to Zamfara, another state there, in Kano. And I never will forget, we were at a table much like this and had a lot of workers and the mothers would bring their children and come by. The woman handed me her little baby. It wasn't but 3 or 4 months old. So I squeezed his mouth, put 2 drops in that baby's mouth. I couldn't speak her language. She couldn't speak my language. But she looked up at me and smiled. The universal thank you. And what she was saying is thank each and every one of you because you have made that commitment to eradicate polio. Judy and I went in India. We went to Uttar Pradesh. And India is a place that we thought would be the last place in the world we could ever get rid of polio. In Uttar Pradesh, they have 500,000 births a month. A month. I didn't say a year. A month. And we have to reach each and every one of those children at least 3 times. We took a suitcase full of candy. We went to one of the outposts, no children, nobody. We opened up that candy and threw some out on the table, and you never seen the like of people in your life that came out of the woodwork and everywhere else. Kids that were naked, adults trying to fight the kids for the candy. But they showed up to get the vaccine with that little incentive. We walk through streets filled with garbage because they throw out their garbage out into the street. We went to a health clinic. They wanted to take pictures. And I said, no, we're here to vaccinate the children. We'll take pictures once we get the children vaccinated. Because you see, Rotary made a promise. That promise was to eradicate polio. Those children have to be reached sometimes as much as 20 times because they live in such devastation, such poverty, such poor drinking water, and they have diarrhea just constantly. And the vaccine has to get into the gut. So if it passes on through, we have to do something else about it. We were back in India, been there several times, but we were back in India in March. India, as I said, we thought would be the last country that we would ever be able to eradicate polio in. But because of the work of Rotarians, just like you and I, they cared enough. They worked with their religious leaders, their government leaders, and volunteers. One NID, National Immunization Day, they did 140 million children in one day. Placed those drops in those children's mouths with a lot of volunteers. So while Rotary has raised a lot of money, Rotary has also spent a lot of volunteer hours in eradicating polio. Judy and I just returned from March visit. And in March, we witnessed the certification of the Southeast Asia region of the World Health Organization. 11 countries, including India, being certified polio-free. Before that certification, 1 out of every 5 children lived in a polio-free area. Now, 4 out of every 5 children live in a polio-free area. Well, where are we? 407 cases at the end of 2013, but only 160 of those 407 was actually in endemic countries. Nigeria has had 50% reduction in 2013, and so far this year, Nigeria has only had 2 cases of polio. We truly believe that we can eradicate polio in Nigeria this year. Afghanistan has 66% reduction. Pakistan has had an increase. And as you probably saw in the news this past week, the WHO, World Health Organization, has declared that polio eradication is an emergency. Now what that means is Rotary has been trying to get this done, I hate to tell you this, for 3 years. But when you're working with governments, it takes a while to get things done. WHO is the only one, the only organization that can declare an emergency. What this emergency does is simply says it's another step on our journey. It says that if you are in Pakistan, Afghanistan, or Nigeria, and you're going to travel outside your country, then you have to show proof that within the last 6 months, you have had the polio vaccine. So what does that do? It tells us that we're trying to stop the transmission from those 3 endemic countries to the rest of the world. Everybody in this room probably takes a flight every once in a while. You have to go through that wonderful thing called TSA screening. But they can't check you for polio. There's probably about 25% of the people in this community, children, that have never had the polio vaccine because of religious reasons or because of homeschooling. Yet, if someone from one of those countries came in here, came in personal contact, that child could get polio. So we have to finish our job. We have to do it. While we've given money and volunteer time, there's actually 47 healthcare workers that have been shot and killed. while we were in India, we were told of a healthcare worker in Pakistan, building, climbed the wall, went into her house, took her. The husband tried to stop them. They said, if you continue on, we're going to kill you and your children. Then we'll kill your wife. They took her out, took her down to a remote area, stabbed her, and shot her. Yet her sister said, I want to finish the job that my sister started. That is perseverance. Bill Gates, a man that is richer than all but 8 countries in the entire world, said to Rotary, I will give you $100 million. In November 2007, he wired $100 million to the Rotary Foundation. And he asked us to do 2 things. One, I want you to raise $100 million by the end of 2010. Second, I want you to spend that $100 million by 2008. What confidence this individual had in Rotary. What trust he had in each and every one of you sitting in this room. And many of you were involved in that 1985 campaign. And you know that we did it in 85, we did it in 2005, and many of you were involved in that campaign. Yes, we did it again. We had only raised about half the money, and he said, I'll give you $255 more million if you'll raise another 100. So Bruce said we raised $228.7 million. We now have a 5-year agreement with the Gates Foundation. That 5-year agreement says if we raise $35 million a year, he'll double that, and he'll give us $70 million every year for the next 5 years. Yes, we're going to do it. It's going to take $5.5 billion to finish it. $4 billion was pledged in May of last year. Just recently, thanks to a lot of work from Rotarians, the U.S. government did a $205 million contribution to our campaign. So we can do it, we will do it. But we all have to work together in order to end polio and make history. Well, P stands for pride, E stands for empathy, O stands for opportunity and obligation, and P stands for perseverance. And L stands for leadership. You have certainly been true leaders in sponsoring Interact clubs, providing scholarships to area colleges, mentoring sponsors with junior achievement, your dictionary project, your Leader in Me program, and many others. Because who's best to serve as leaders and mentors for our young people than Rotarians, who truly believe that service to humanity is the best work of life. And E stands for enthusiasm. You know, Emerson said, nothing great has ever been achieved without enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is contagious. It breeds success. The success breeds success. But fellow Rotarians and guests, the only place I know of that success comes before work is in the dictionary. So we have to set our goals. We have to go about it. We have to work. It takes all of us to make Rotary a success. It will take all of us to make our polio eradication program a success. And Paul Harris once said, the power of combined effort has no limitations. Yes, we are in the people business. And I thank you for what you've done in this community. I thank you for your contributions to the Rotary Foundation and what we're doing with your money that you've entrusted us with. I thank you for your commitment to the eradication of polio, as together we work together to engage Rotary and change lives. Thank you very much.